welcome back to my vegan kitchen. Today I have a wonderful recipe that makes me so happy because I really happen to love donuts, but unfortunately most donuts that you buy at like Dunkin' Donuts or the supermarket, or
they don't love you.
They don't, because they're not vegan. So I really haven't had a really good donut in a while. That breaks my heart. And donuts are pretty unhealthy even if they were vegan. But these are going to be just this much healthier because we're not going to fry them. And they're going to be like a beautiful yeast risen donut. Not like those cake donuts where people have those pans that you buy and you pour the batter in and it is the shape of a donut, but that's not really a donut. So let me take you through the recipe. It is extremely simple. It is a great recipe for fall because we're going to do an apple pie filling and a glaze on the top that is maple walnut. It's going to be so tasty. You're going to love it. So let's begin. First thing, get your bowl. I like to do mine in the mixer because why mix it if you don't have to? I've got a half a cup of water here and it's warm. It's not too hot. If it's more than like you stick your finger in and are like, it's going to kill the yeast. So make sure it's like a little bit more than room temperature. I like to buy my yeast in bulk. So that's why I like to buy everything in bulk because it tends to be cheaper. So that's why you see that I always have big containers of everything because I like to buy it in bulk. So I'm putting in 1 tablespoon of activated dry yeast, and I'm just going to give it a, hey, get in with that water, why don't you? And we're going to let that sit for 10 minutes. We're going to come back to that. We're going to stick that over here for right now. And now we're going to put together some of the dry ingredients while we're waiting for that. In this bowl over here, I have 2 cups of all-purpose flour. You can use,
there we go.
Yeah, you can use bread flour or just like regular flour. I usually get the unbleached because who wants all that bleach? There's enough in my hair, right? And I have some organic cane sugar here, granulated, and I'm putting 1/4 cup of that in. And the last ingredient that's dry is Himalayan sea salt. I wouldn't use just regular salt. I would use like a Himalayan or a Celtic. This is about 1/2 teaspoon. It's going to balance the sugar a little bit, and it is salt and everything, right?
Salty sweet.
Yeah. You're not even going to taste it. So let's wait for the yeast to rise a little bit, and then we'll come right back. So check this out. See, it got all frothy and thick. That means that the yeast is working. It's not dead. It's alive.
All right.
Just like Halloween. Young Frankenstein yeast. It's alive. So
anyway,
let's add the rest of the wet ingredients. I have 2/3 cup of canned coconut milk. Get the full fat. Like that. I make sure it's room temperature too. If this is like from the fridge or like down from in the basement, make sure you warm it up a little bit to room temperature, otherwise it's gonna be like solid. So we're gonna pour that in, and then the final wet ingredient is coconut oil. So I love this one by Nutiva. It has like a buttery flavor to it, and that's gonna make the donuts taste amazingly buttery. So good. So you have to put in 1/4 cup of that. So I just set this up on the toaster a little bit, and I turned the toaster on so that it would be easier to measure, because it's way easier to measure a liquid than a solid, especially with these measuring cups. So this might take a little bit, so we'll check back when we go over to the mixer. We're at my mixer.
Wow.
So I'm just gonna get this going here. You don't want to
Lock it up, baby.
You don't want to know what's going to happen if that doesn't go on. Alright, so let me just grab a spoon here. You want to add the flour a little bit at a time, because guess what? If you dump it all in, there's going to be a giant mushroom cloud of flour, and nobody wants that situation on their hands. Certainly not in this political climate. Alright. So the object of this is you're going to want a nice, wet, sticky dough, but not so sticky that it sticks to everything else. It's going to be soft like a pillow, and you're going to have to adjust the flour according to your humidity and location and everything. So I started, thank you. I started out with 2.5 cups because I know that I'm going to need a little bit more than 2 cups. So let's see what happens here. See, it's starting to get all pillowy, but it's still quite sticky. You're going to want to see when it starts really pulling away from the sides and making the bowl clean. Because with that amount of coconut oil and coconut milk, this really should be pretty non-stick.
I thought you said making the bowl clean.
No, clean.
Like,
it's gonna pull away from the sides. No, we're getting there. Almost there. Still a little. Might as well just put the rest of it in. That looks pretty good. Just let that mix for a second, and then what we're going to do is we're going to scrape it off the paddle, take the bowl off, let it sit for 2 hours so that it rises. Alright, so guys, I just want you to see what the perfect consistency is so there'll be no question about it. See, it kind of is sticking to the bowl a little bit, but not really. And when you push it together with the spatula, it's not really sticking to the spatula because that's just perfect. It's like a pillow. It's like sticky a little bit, like Post-it notes, but not really. So you're just going to let that sit. You're going to put a dish towel or some saran wrap over the top of it and just throw it in a warm corner, you know, like no drafts or anything. You certainly don't want to put it near an open window or anything, just where it's going to be like undisturbed and able to like come alive inside for 2 hours. Alright guys, I'm getting a jump on the filling here while the dough is rising so that this is going to have enough time to cook and cool off before we put the donuts together. I got 5 nice sized apples from when we went apple picking. It's good to use different varieties because you get some tart and some sweet. If you use all sweet, then it's like, this is too sweet. That flavor variation of the tart in there really is what makes for a nice flavor depth in the filling. So I love this slicer thing. I don't know what you call it. It was like 20 bucks at Target, I guess, or I forget where I got it. But I knew they had it at Target. And it dices the apples so nicely. It saves so much time, and it goes right in the dishwasher. It's great. So, you're going to make this like you would make any apple pie. If you made an apple pie before, you know what I'm talking about. So, I've got 5 apples, peeled, cored, chopped. I'm going to put a pinch of salt. I'm going to put pumpkin pie spice or apple pie spice. I use them like they're the same thing because they pretty much are. It's basically just like cinnamon and nutmeg and probably some allspice in there. Smells so good. Oh, I can smell it already. A shot of lemon juice, probably like a tablespoon, just to brighten up the flavor a little bit. This is totally optional. You could add sugar or leave it au natural depending on what you like in your apple pie. I'm just really going to put like a heaping teaspoon. I mean, you really don't need a lot because make sure you drop that on the floor or on the chair. That's going to make it come out really good. That's just going to add that little extra, that's a little sweet. I like that. And as you would put like a dot of butter on the top of your pie before you put the crust in, you want to do the same thing with the filling here. So I'm going to put about a tablespoon of the buttery coconut oil in there. You could put vegan butter, or if you're not vegan, you know, butter. So I'm going to give this a good mix. And then I'm going to pop this into the microwave because I like to have this pre-cooked. Nobody likes to bite into an apple baked good and like get crunch. That's gross. You want it to be nice and perfectly soft. So I'm going to pop this in for 3 minutes. My microwave is about 1,000 watts. Then stir it and put it in for another minute or two until it's soft, but not like obliterated, and then let it cool. I can't believe I forgot to tell you this, and it was right here in front of me. A tablespoon of flour sprinkled over it and then mixed in with it too, because that's what sucks up the juice that is created when you cook the apples. Because think about it, when you cook an apple, you're making it into applesauce. You're on the way to applesauce, and what happens with applesauce? It's wet. You don't want wet in the middle of your donut. You want moist. You don't want it dry, that's for sure. So the flour will help soak up the wetness. Alright guys, it's been quite a few hours.
Wow.
That's what it looks like when it's all rised up.
You got the expansion pack.
Yeah. So just take your, what would you call this?
Dough?
Spatula?
Oh.
What do they call this thing?
It's a spatula.
I know, but isn't there another name for it? When
No, it's a spatula.
Oh. Okay.
Spatula?
Well, no. So basically, you just want to get it out of the bowl and onto a floured surface. I like to put saran wrap on my table so that it's easier cleanup. See, that comes out pretty nicely. It is a sticky dough though. But this is going to make 12 large donuts. So you just want to get a little flour on it so that it's not sticking much to anything, and pretty much just shape it so that you can measure out evenly, or you know what, it doesn't even really matter. You can whatever. You could roll it out just like this as is now, and take a glass and put it upside down if you want to get real fancy, and cut out circles, and then you put 2 circles together with the filling in between, but I don't feel like doing that.
Okay.
So I'm just going to basically divide this up into 12 pieces. So that's half, so that means this one has to be how many?
6.
Yes. So
I wasn't sure if you were serious.
no. So then each one of these has to be 3. I mean, it doesn't have to be exact, but you get the idea. Alright. I'm not going to do all of the rest just now because I just want to show you.
Yeah, Martha Stewart it.
Alright, so let's just put this aside and go with this one. So let me get my roller out. I like these small rollers because they're easy to handle. So the way I do this is I just roll it out into a pretty thin big circle. Doesn't have to be really exact, like that, and put like a heaping tablespoon of the filling, and then I just do it quick and dirty, just like that. And then that part goes on the bottom, and I've got my parchment paper on the sheet over here, and do all of them like that. Let those rise an hour or so. So 1 to 2 hours. We'll be back. Alright, these have risen sufficiently, and they're ready to go in the oven now at 375 for about 30 minutes. Guys, I meant to tell you when I was rolling these out that this dough is very, very versatile. You can, thank you, Sean. If you don't want to do the apple pie filling, or you don't have time to make it, I mean, it's pretty quick, but if you're in a hurry, you can get pie filling in the can, or in the, you know, little plastic tub. You could put chocolate in there, you could put marzipan in there, you don't have to put anything in there. You could roll it out like a coffee ring. You could do like a strudel, you know, long, and braid it even. There's a lot you can do. So your imagination, you're only limited by your imagination. So I'm going to get these in the oven, and then when they come out, I'll show you how the glaze goes. Here they are, out of the oven, cooled off. They look amazing, if I do say so myself. So now the glaze, you could do anything from just some confectionery sugar mixed with some almond milk, a couple of tablespoons, to like a cup of confectionery sugar. That would be a regular like donut glaze, or you could do like a caramel sauce, vegan of course, which is dates with some peanut butter mixed in, or almond butter. We're gonna do a maple walnut. So I have a cup of walnuts here that I'm gonna grind up in my Blendtec, and I'm gonna add probably 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, 2 to 3 tablespoons, and we will pour it over the top, or slather it over the top of the donuts and give it a taste.
Wow.
Alright, so I like my icing a little bit thicker because I hate when it gets hot and it all melts. I like it to stay on the top. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. You don't want it to be all runny.
Yeah, I don't like it all runny, and I don't want it too sweet either. So, this is pretty thick. It's a thickie. So I guess we'll give this a taste. You know what? I probably could have added just a tablespoon or 2 of almond milk into that to make it just a little bit less hard, you know. But look at how amazing. You got your apple filling in there.
Nice.
Let's see what Maddie thinks.
I think I have really bad heartburn.
I'm sorry.
Oops. Yum! It's so good.
Is it good? All right. Well, guys, there you have it. I hope you give it a try. Even if you don't make it exactly the way that I did, you know, do it the way that you want to do it. You don't have to put any filling at all. Just put the glaze on top, you know, the confectionery sugar and the milk, and you got yourself a dessert. So let me know in the comments if you try it, and until next time, much love.
Edit.